videos. Let me do your makeup. Let me do this. I know. I love positive affirmative videos or hair brushing videos or scalp massage, lotions, stuff that you can just close your eyes and listen to. You don't have to watch. That's why I do my ASMR like this. So tonight I'm just gonna, read you some spooky urban legends. So you can just, sit back, my loves. Close your eyes, stick your headphones in. Don't stick your headphones in. Just listen to some scary, maybe not some of them, not so scary, urban legends. So this first one is actually, I have a couple that are my favorite, but this is a favorite of mine. You may have heard it. It's called the licky hand. Some call it the doggy lick, or humans can lick too. But here it is. It starts. It says, a young girl is home alone for the first time, would only hear a dog for company. Listening to the news, she hears of a killer on the loose in her neighborhood. Terrified, she locks the doors and windows, but she forgets about the basement window and is left unlocked. She goes to bed, taking her dog to her room with her and letting it sleep under her bed. She wakes in the middle of the night to hear a dripping sound, a dripping sound, coming from the bathroom. The dripping sound noise frightens her, but she's too scared to get out of bed and find what it is. To reassure herself, she reaches a hand towards the floor for the dog and is rewarded by a reassuring lick on her hand. The next morning, when she wakes up, she goes to the bathroom for a drink of water, only to find her dead, mutilated dog hanging in the shower with his blood slowly dripping on the tiles. On the shower wall, written in the dog's blood, it says, humans can lick too. Humans can lick too. Humans can lick too. I don't know, that's one of my favorite. That is one of my favorites. Have you guys ever heard that one? Is that one? Do you guys know that one? That's one of my favorite ones. Okay, the next one, and I'm sure you guys have all heard variations of this. It's called the Resurrection Mary. I know I've heard variations of it. I'm sure there's been like movies and stuff. But the story goes that a girl named Mary had spent the evening with her boyfriend at the school dance. At some point they get into an argument and she storms out. And she begins walking. The original one says she's walking down Archer Ave. She's not getting very far when she is struck and killed by a hit-and-run driver, who fled the scene, leaving Mary to die. When she is found, her parents are grief-stricken at the sight of her body. They bury her in the cemetery, wearing the beautiful white dancing dress and matching dancing shoes, and the hit-and-run driver is never found. And now, like I said, it's in different places. Different people have their own things, but A. Jerry Paulson, a Chicago resident, reported that in 1939 he met a person whom he believed was Resurrection Mary at Liberty Grove Hall. They danced and they even kissed, and she asked for him for a ride home. But when they got to the cemetery, she exited the car and disappeared. Another one says in 1973, Resurrection Mary was said to have shown up at the Harlow nightclub. The same year, a cab driver came into the lounge across the street from the cemetery to inquire about the young lady who had left without paying her fare. There have been other sightings from 1976 to 78, 1980, 1989, which involve cars striking or nearly striking Mary outside of Resurrection Cemetery. She disappears, however, at the time the motorist gets out of their car to check. It's also reported that she has a handprint burned into an iron fence around this Resurrection Cemetery, although officials say there's no evidence of that. But yeah, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of different stories about Resurrection Mary, or different unsolved mysteries, or different versions. I know where I'm from, there's a version of the Resurrection Mary on one of our like dead end roads. There's a version of that. There's another one now. This one I've actually never heard of. So if you want to comment on the video, let me know if you've ever heard of this one or a version of this one. It's called La Senora. It says the legend says that La Senora was a young woman named Castilla. She lived in a town in the plains of Venezuela, and she was one of the most beautiful girls there. She was married to a great man, caring and loving. Castilla and her husband had a baby boy. One day, Castilla was swimming naked in a nearby river, and a villager saw her. After that, the man would always follow her and watch her bathe in the wonder. One day, Castilla saw him and told him to leave her alone. He ignored her and said he told her he was there to warn her. Your husband is having an affair with no other than your mother. Castilla ran home and found her husband asleep with the baby in his arms. Blind with anger, she burned the house with them inside. Villagers could hear their screams as Castilla ran to her mother's house. She found her on the patio and attacked her with a machete, striking her dead in the stomach. As her mother bled to death, she cursed Castilla, telling her that from then on she would avenge all women by killing their unfaithful husbands. And from then on, Castilla became known as La Senora. In other versions of the tale, Senora appears to men working in the jungle. She manifests when her unsuspecting victims talk to their workmates about sex, or think of women left behind in their hometowns. Senora appears to such men, assuming the likeness of a beautiful woman, and lures them into the forest, where she could reveal her animal-like features and devour and mangle them, leaving them wrenched bodies for their companions to find. Now, I've actually never heard of that one, so like I said, let me know if you have. Okay, now this one I've actually heard of. This one's actually funny, but I've heard of it, but it's never actually, I don't know if it's ever been proven true. It's not, this one's not scary, so if you're getting scared or you don't like scary stuff, this one's for you. It's the urban legend of the sewer alligator. Okay, so it says, following the reports of a sewer alligator in 1930, the story has built up over decades and become more of a contemporary legend. Many have questioned how accurate the stories are. And this starts with, as late as the middle of the 20th century, souvenir shops in Florida sold live baby alligators as novelty souvenirs. Tourists from all over, particularly New York City, would buy a baby alligator and try to raise it as a pet. When the alligator grew too large for comfort, the family would try to flush the reptile down the toilet. What happened next varies. The most common story is that the alligator survives and resides in the sewers and reproduces, feeding on rats and garbage, growing huge in size and eating 2 sewer workers. Now, I did hear that. I've also heard reports of them coming up through like the toilet, or like the snakes coming up to the toilet when you sit on. So I have heard that one. Those I don't know how true those are, but that one's always a good one. It's actually always a funny one. Now I'm looking for some more. Okay, did you ever hear of this one's one that don't think I ever heard of either. It is called Stingy Jack. Stingy Jack. Okay, as the story goes, several centuries ago in Ireland, there lived a drunkard named Stingy Jack. He is known throughout the land as a deceiver and a manipulator. On a fateful night, Satan overheard the tale of Jack's evil deeds and silver tongue. Unconvinced of the rumors, the devil went to find him, to find out for himself whether or not Jack lived up to his reputation. Typical of Jack, he was drunk and wandering through the countryside at night when he comes upon a body on his cobblestone path. The body, with an eerie grimace, grimace on his face turns out to be the devil himself. Jack realized that this was his end. Satan finally came to collect his malevolent soul, so Jack made one last request. He asked the devil to let him drink ale before he went to hell. Finding no reason to acquiesce to the request, Satan took Jack to the local pub and supplied him with many alcoholic beverages. Upon quenching his thirst, Jack asked Satan to pay for the tab of ale, much to his surprise because he didn't carry any money. Jack convinced him to turn himself into a silver coin with which to pay the bartender and change back when no one was looking. Satan did so, impressed by Jack's unwilling tactics. Surely Jack struck the now transformed Satan coin into his pocket, which also contained the crucifix. The crucifix present kept the devil from escaping his form. This coerced Satan to agree to Jack's demand. In exchange for his freedom, he had to spare Jack's soul for 10 years. 10 years after the date Jack allegedly struck his deal, he naturally found himself once again in the devil's presence. Jack happened upon Satan in the same setting as before, and seemingly accepted it was his time to go to hell. As Satan prepared to take him to hell, Jack asked if he could have one apple to feed his starving belly. Foolishly, Satan once again agreed to the request. As he climbed up the branches into the nearby apple tree, Jack surrounded its base with a crucifix. Satan, frustrated at the fact that he had been again trapped, demanded his release. As he did before, Jack made a second demand that he would never take his soul to hell. Having no choice, the devil agreed. Eventually, the drinking took its toll on Jack, and he died. Stingy Jack's soul prepared to enter heaven through the gates of St. Peter, but he was stopped. Jack was told by God that because of his sinful lifestyle of deceitfulness and drinking, he was not allowed into heaven. Jack then went to the gates of hell and begged permission into the underworld. Satan, fulfilling his obligation to Jack, could not take his soul. He gave Jack an ember to light his way. Jack is doomed to roam the earth between the places of good and evil, with only an ember inside a hollow turnip to light his way. That's actually a funny one. I kind of like that one. I never heard that one before. But that's actually a good one. So this last one that I'm going to read you it is absolutely, I don't know why, but it's one of my favorites. It's I know I said the other one was a licking hand one but this one is my absolute favorite. And I know there's variations of this too. It's called Aren't You Glad You Didn't Turn On the Lights? Two girls that went to the same college and were roommates. Kate was a socialite who loved to go out to parties and loved guys even more. Jen was a shy wallflower who kept to her studies and only had a few friends. The two got along most of the time, but they didn't always see eye to eye when it came to visitors staying over in their room. That night there was a dorm party on the floor above they had been invited to. Jen quickly made an excuse as to not go, while Kate, never missing out on the good party, had been planning her outfit since they had been invited. At the last classes of the day, both girls were in the room. Kate had music playing as she was getting ready for the party, and Jen was studying. A rapid knock on the door alerted both the girls. As soon as the knocking stopped, the door burst open, and a group of girls fell onto the floor laughing. Kate's friend had come around to get ready as a group. Sorry, my dog. Rolling her eyes, Jen picked up and took the books and declared that she was going to the library to continue her studies. Jen sat herself in her favorite comfy chair in the library and began reading books. Students came and went throughout the night, and when she finally closed her books, it was about 2 a.m. Shocked that the time had passed so quickly, she gathered her things and began to walk back to her room. As she approached her room, she could hear people inside. Sighing, she opened the door and left the light off. She had gotten an eyeful of plenty of occasions when she'd been interrupted by Kate and her dates getting rowdy in bed. Nice to know you enjoyed yourself, Jen said. The motion stopped briefly, and then the two carried on again. Annoyed that her roommate was ignoring her, she changed into her pajamas and got into bed. When the noises carried on, she put on her MP3 player and turned the volume up loud. She quickly fell asleep. The next morning, she woke with her MP3 player tangled around her pillow. Picking it up to unravel it, she turned over to scold Kate for her actions the night before. As she turned over, she dropped her music player and screamed. Kate was lying in a pool of blood with her sheets all over the floor. On the wall, written in her blood, were the words, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights? Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" I hope you are nice and relaxed. I hope you weren't too scared from the urban legends. I hope you enjoyed them. I hope now, after this wonderful, 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 wonderful Halloween night, that you can close your eyes and relax and drift off to sleep. Drift off to sleep. Know that I am here for you. Know that I am happy you are here with me. And I hope I was able to relax you with some scary stories. And I hope you have a good rest of your night as you drift off.